Welcome to Are You Killing It, the podcast powered by Peak Performance Partners, where our mission is to help your business achieve success faster. I'm your host, Dr. John Ronaldo, and each week our team of business experts brings you the tools, insights, and strategies you need to kill it in your business. No fluff, just real talk to fuel your growth. So let's dive in. Gentlemen, are you killing it today?
We are killing it.
Oh,
Killing
my
it.
God.
It is.
For those of you who are
alive.
watching and listening, you are in trouble. The energy that we have in this studio right now is just crazy. I'm actually very worried and concerned about where this is going to go. As always, I'm joined by the founders and owners of Peak Performance Partners. To my right, I have Ricky Navarre. Across from me, Patrick Stewart. And across from me, also, Kevin Hernandez. Gentlemen, welcome back.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Yes.
Welcome to another show.
Another show. And Kevin, we missed you on the last few episodes because,
Yes.
you had to go, do
so
family stuff.
Yeah,
So-
I've been on vacation.
There you
I've
go.
been using some PTO.
Well, there you go. Wow. That's crazy. Kevin, do you know we're going to be talking about PTO in this episode?
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, that's right. So,
What a coincidence.
well, welcome back. Welcome back from vacation. Look, you can't tee it up any better than that. Kevin, thank you so much for that. That is our topic today in this podcast episode, managing PTO without the headaches. Time off shouldn't cause stress. We're going to explore how to build PTO policy and culture that balances business needs with employee well-being. Make time off work for everyone. So this is perfect timing too, guys, because this episode is going to release right around the holidays, Thanksgiving and Christmas and all that jazz. And PTO seems to be front of mind during this time, is it not?
It is. It is.
100%.
Hey, real quickly, this is not on your prep sheet at all, guys, but what do you guys do for kind of the Christmas holiday, Thanksgiving holiday? Do you guys work through it all? Do you only have Christmas off? Do you only have Thanksgiving off? Do you guys take some time off and take some, have the staff take some time off? What's the policy here at Peak Performance Partners?
Yeah. So for Thanksgiving week, I mean, obviously, we pretty much are closed Thursday, Friday. So Saturday, Sunday. So it's a 4-day weekend. And then pretty much what we've done the last 5-6 years is we have our strategic planning session like on or around the 19th, have a little half day on the 20th, and then we take the rest of the year off. And then we come back. Usually it's that first like real Monday. So I think one year it was the 7th, another year it was the 5th. So we get about 3 weeks, 2.5 to 3 weeks of solid time, and we're silent. I mean, we're radio silent.
That's generous too. I mean, obviously it's good for you. It's good for your team, and also very generous. Is there a strategic reason for that choice and why you guys do that?
Yeah, I mean, most small businesses kind of are just trying to wrap up. They're either hectically wrapping things up, or they also close down, or they're off different times. And so we just work our calendars to where all of our clients know. I mean, if they need us, they can reach out, but we're not in the office. Except last year, Kevin came back because he got the wrong Monday.
I got the wrong weeks mixed up, and so I came back a week earlier.
Oh, okay.
I was wondering where everyone was at.
That's awesome. Well, then did you come back before the new year then?
I did.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, exactly.
And so it still being December was not the clue you needed that you weren't ready to come back?
Well, typically I go and visit my family during the holidays.
Nice.
I think I had about enough of them. I came back a week early.
That's awesome. Well, that's fair. Thank you for being honest about that. Well, I think PTO strategy, not just around the holidays, I think it's a real important, strategy. And it's not just, about following whatever laws, state laws, federal laws, things along those lines, but there are really strategic reasons to kind of think through PTO. And so, you guys are out and about meeting with a lot of small businesses. A lot of small businesses are just getting started too. Maybe they have policies. Maybe they don't have policies in place around how they do PTO.
They don't.
They don't have policies in place. So, Kevin, let's just start with you then. What are the biggest challenges you think leaders are facing when managing PTO?
Well, I think one of the things is when they're away, they're like either the manager's away or if somebody wants to take time off, the biggest concern is I've got to do their job, right? And I think that a lot of business owners are worried about stepping in the role. They wear a lot of hats to begin with, but then when we coach them to delegate and release those tasks, every holiday that comes back around, they're like, you want to take some time off? That means I got to do your work. I got to do your job. That becomes an issue.
That's interesting. So the owner, the manager, the direct report, or the direct supervisor then feels they have more
Yeah,
work
they
to
feel
do
the
then,
pressure.
so.
Yeah, they feel the obligation to step into that role, and it comes naturally because they're used to wearing all the hats.
They're doers, right?
They're the doers.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really interesting, right? And so, there's an opportunity here to kind of also encourage delegation, empowerment, and whatnot. So, obviously, a lot of business owners are they care about the business, they're passionate about the business. This is their baby, so they're not going to do anything to screw this up. But sometimes the people that you hire don't have the same level of passion, sometimes, which may or may not be true, right? And so, Patrick, how can an owner then use PTO to its advantage to kind of only not empower and delegate, but also allow them, the owner, the individual, to also let go? What's some strategy and thinking around that?
Yeah, so I think number one, I would say we had one of our tab members said one time, he goes, I love taking extended time off because it allows me the opportunity to stress test my business. And I was like, it was everybody around the room, we all were like, we never thought about it like that, right? And so he says, yeah, purposefully, I don't pick up calls, I don't read my emails, I will take 2 weeks and I won't be and I tell everybody, hey, I'm gone, I'm off don't call me for anything.
Off the grid.
I'm off the grid. And then that way when I come back, I'm able to really look at, okay, where am I failing in my systems and processes? Where is the delegation? Who are my true leaders? Because leaders will lead. The cream rises to the top, right? And so they're able to identify. And then he would take that and put that into his strategic plan for the following year of things he needs to work on to correct. And so I think that idea of sometimes you need to stress test your business.
Mm-hmm. But isn't it true that when the owner's employees take time off and they have to step into their roles, they tend to find gaps in those responsibilities?
Well, yeah, of course. Yeah, I think that's part of that stress test, right? That's part of the stress test. Or is it over-reliant? A funny story, I was at a client, this couple had taken an extended vacation. And so I said, hey, for the first staff meeting, I'm going to come in and I'll help run it. And all of a sudden we go into the meeting room and the alarm starts to go off. And guess what? Nobody knew what the code was to
the building alarm, the alarm to the building. Oh my God.
to the room. So they had to call the owner in Europe and say, hey, the alarm's going, we don't know the code. And I laughed because I go, that's just, again, one of those simple things that the owner, everybody takes for granted because the owner gets there first and they go turn the alarm off, right? And so, yeah, that was a funny one.
That's hilarious. Well, you mentioned something really interesting of people taking off and actually truly taking off. I know a lot of people, and I have done it as well, because of the ubiquity of the technology that we have. When we travel, we often still bring our laptops with us. Our emails are still on our phone. Even when we're poolside with the kids, we're looking at emails. I think it's safe to say that Americans as a whole don't seem to know how to take a vacation and how to turn it off, right?
Yeah.
And so, say I'm an owner, say I'm a boss, how do we encourage our team when they do take vacation to really unplug? Now, the caveat here, obviously, if there's some sort of emergency comes up or you're a certain high-level leaders, there's a part of you that still needs to be on call in some ways, right? But we're talking about maybe lower-level staff, right? You're talking your coordinator levels or, your manager levels, whatnot, that really can take off. How do we encourage them? How do we encourage them to, go away, don't do work, don't check email, do your thing?
First of all, we teach them how to set their email that says they're out of office. That's the biggest one that people fail to do is they fail to set that notification.
I am always amazed when I know people are on vacation. I may send them an email and I don't get the out of office reply. I'm like, come on, guys, it's about clear communication. So
That's
good.
exactly.
So literally we have to handhold how to use their email client to do an out of office message. Okay, that's a good start. Ricky, what are your thoughts there?
I would echo that, and I would say that when they're out, kind of delegate ahead of time so that people know exactly what needs to be done. All right, and again, back to stress testing the business. Like these people should be able to step away if they put the right pieces in place, give them the right jobs and tasks. And if there's a 3-alarm fire, then you call. Then you need. Other than that, grow, stretch. This is an opportunity for other people to step into that role and show who can do the job that's designed to be done. Right.
So helping people plan for their vacation, right? You're going to be out for a week. You're going to be out for 2 weeks or more. Let's set up what processes and procedures are going to be in place while you're gone.
Yeah. And I'm going to add to that. Sorry, but what policies and procedures, but also like what client engagement. Like, hey, you're going to handle this client. I had this conversation. So you need to have those meetings so that everybody knows, back to clear communication, who's doing what. And if a client calls in and that individual's unavailable, the ball's not dropped. The customer service does not suffer. You're like, oh, yeah, I know exactly what's going on, right?
Yeah, and I was going to say, create some decision trees, create some scenarios, and create like a process where you say, hey, here's the escalation. Here's the first line, so hey, if what happens if there's a car accident with one of our trucks in our fleet? What's going to happen? So go through some scenarios, and that's that time to do some risk assessment.
Yeah, risk management.
But then what you're doing is you're developing your team to start thinking at a higher level, because now they're saying, okay, this is going to happen. Hey, what happens if somebody gets hurt on the job? What are you going to do? What happens if there's a death on the job? What are we going to do? So you start to come up with these scenarios, and I would say, and then you just talk about these escalation things and say, okay, so at what point do you need to reach out to me, the owner or the manager? At what point do I want to be made aware of this? And so then you say, so if you've solved it up to that point, I don't need to hear about it. I'll hear about it when I get back.
Yeah.
I had a boss one time, he said this, he says, the only reason I want you to call me is because the building burned down. And he goes, in fact, don't call me then because there's nothing really to come back to anyways.
I love that. Absolutely.
And I want to add too, you incorporated something I thought was probably brilliant when you came up with that end of the day report.
Yeah. Again, for business owners, if you feel like you can't get away, right? So that first time you're going to go take an extended amount of time is have them create an end of the day report that says, hey, here's what happened. Here's what's going on, especially if you're going overseas, because then you kind of get it at night, and then you can reply to it. And then when your team comes back to work the next morning, they got it right there what they need. But that allowed some business owners to feel like, all right, I'm in control, and I don't need to check in and keep calling and talk to people, and I kind of see what's going on.
Plus, on a manager's level, you can start to instill a sense of responsibility on things that they need to be accountable for.
I think that's a really powerful point. Like certainly as a boss at wherever level, if you're a supervisor at any level, going away and being off the grid and trusting your team to do it, even if it's not like you would do it, even if it's not perfect and something comes from it, like you were talking about, Patrick, that's stress test anyways, there is something empowering for your team to know, hey, my boss trusts me enough that he's out or she's out, and they're going to let us run this show. Okay, that's a responsibility that me as an individual contributor want to live up to and want to take advantage of, not just for, promotions or pay increase or anything like that, but like, hey, this is an opportunity for me, and certainly that will help your good employees. I think will automatically fill that gap.
The cream rises to the top,
Yeah.
right? And you start to see some people who never demonstrated leadership skills start to rise,
100%.
right? When they're put in the right position.
And when the de facto leader steps away, right? Someone's got to fill that void, and so who's going to do that? I think that's really powerful. Huh? Yeah. So PTO, I should have said PTO. I assumed everybody knows what PTO is, but maybe I should have said this at the beginning. So rewind. Pay time off, all right? So that's what we're talking about, though.
We're in like 8-10 minutes of this podcast. Like,
that's my bad.
Yeah, that's the parent.
John Ronaldo takes responsibility for that, for sure. So, okay, let's get nitty gritty here. You're a new business. I don't have an employee handbook. I don't have my vacation sick policies in place. Obviously there's state and federal law, things like that, what type of vacation, how often we should do, and whether they're exempt, not exempt, all that stuff. Well, I don't want to get into too much of that detail, but strategically and organizationally, what have you guys seen makes sense when a business owner or when a company is looking to put in new PTO policies? what is that policy? How much time are you giving folks? Do they get more time over time? What are you seeing as best practices in there?
Yeah,
That's good.
yeah. I mean, I think like when we started, we kind of said, hey, we're going to give our first employee 2 weeks off, 2 weeks of paid vacation plus paid holidays, right? So we're going to have paid holidays. And then when we added that up, right, that was like 21 days or something like that. And then we're like, plus they're going to get sick time. So when they were, well, what's my sick time? And we didn't have.
And then we also included Christmas. So
but then we didn't have the staff to really track that or a way to track it. So then finally we just said, you know what? You get 30 days. You're going to get 30
days.
30 days total. That includes the federal holidays, or that's on top of the holidays?
No, that includes holidays.
Okay.
That includes whether you're sick or whether it's vacation. You decide how you want to use it. So if you call in and, hey, my kid's sick, I need to stay home, there you go. That's a day. And so you're going to get 30 days. And to, kind of that point, we're going to close the office down for at least 10 and so we kind of say, look, nobody's going to be here. So you probably don't want to be here from Christmas to New Year's. So there's 10 days. And then, take a summer vacation, take a week. And then you'll have some, a few days here and there that you can still take.
And when you're talking 30 days, really, ultimately, you're talking 30 work days, right?
30 work days.
So I think that's important to name that, right? Because we're talking if you're in a business that's a typical Monday through Friday, right? You got to figure that out if you work weekends, stuff like that. But a Monday through Friday, typically a work week is 5 days. So a week is going to be 5 days. So. That's 6 weeks, so including all that. That's really interesting. You mentioned a really interesting point. You talk about vacations and sick. One of the changes that I've seen happen, and maybe you guys have seen this too in the past 20, 25 years, is that, and certainly when I started my career, there was a delineation between vacation time and sick time. Yep. And so, for instance, I'm gonna get my laws wrong, but I started my career in California, and so California, I think, has a state law required minimum of 10 sick days, I think that was the rule. So they had to track those kind of sick days to be able to help that. And then you'd have vacation. Yeah. But the movement that's happening now is exactly to what you were talking about, Patrick, just paid time off, PTO. That's why. So it's no longer vacation sick. It's however you want to use it. Yep. Because there are people, I've done this, where I pretended I was sick and really took a vacation because I was out of vacation time, but I had all these sick days that I needed to use. Yep. That maybe that wasn't ethical on my part, but this is a safe place, guys, to share some truth, right? What's happening here.
Just us four in here.
But and no one's listening or watching either. So, but I think what people really caught on is why are we delineate between the two? And that's the move I've seen a lot of people too is forget separating out vacation and sick. You got 2 weeks vacation, 2 weeks sick. Let's just put it all together, 30 days or whatever it's going to be, and kind of move that forward. Yeah. Is there, again, state law, federal law aside, because I actually don't know what the laws are in that case, is there a minimum that you think we should be giving people PTO? What's the minimum amount of time that you think a company should realistically be giving entry-level employees time off on? Putting you on the spot.
I'd say minimum at least 2 weeks, right? Like, again, and that depends on whether or not they're going to factor in holidays on top of that.
Typically, in that case, we would see holidays would be separate, right? Mm-hmm. So it's 2 weeks plus whatever holidays that they have, right?
Yeah.
There's
is 2 weeks within their 90-day probationary period, or what?
Oh, there you go.
You have to get through the 90-day period. Right? You can't just start.
Oh, come on, man.
No, we've had people.
Hey, I want to start. I want you to pay me.
By the way, that's a vacation day.
Well, see, listeners, you have to pay attention. These are three business owners that are talking about from a business owner's perspective, and I think that's important. Like, we're talking from an entrepreneurial owner perspective. If I brought in an entry-level employee into this podcast, they might have a different perspective. Very valid, in terms of that. But Ricky, to your point, many organizations I've been part of, there's that 90-day or 60-day or even 30 days.
Well, some you have to work a year. I mean, my son works for Hyatt, and you have to wait a year
before any PTO.
That's food service.
So you're accruing it. Right?
You're accruing it, but you can't use it?
But you can't use it until your anniversary.
Well, hospitality, right? That's a different
industry, right?
Field, yeah. That would be crazy to me, like, for me. But I've been in, like, office jobs, right? So, like, the idea of that would be like, what? I'm out. I ain't working in that job. But that's,
I remember
that's John Ronaldo.
First job that I got that they, to that point, an executive job where they said you got 30 days off. You have 30 days of vacation. And so then I would take, and part of the, making sure you're getting the most out of your time off is a lot of it's that planning. Right, and three of us here were in the timeshare sales, and we kind of talk about, and this is one, when you're talking about vacations, the 3 phases of a vacation, right? The pre-vacation, the 7 days or 2 weeks, the vacation, and then obviously the memories. So the shortest part of all of those things is the actual vacation. So if you want to take total advantage of a vacation, you need that pre-planning. So like for an example, I've already purchased my tickets for next May, right? I'm flying into Prague on the 26th and I fly out of Athens on June 19th. So this pre-planning, guess what I do when I start getting frustrated? I start going through and saying, where am I going to go and what are we going to do? And I start looking at the beach. So I'm getting this full year of the vacation, right? And then I'm going to get this 3 weeks, and then obviously I'll have but I think that pre-planning and just encouraging, that's part of that company culture, because we want to live and we want people to enjoy working here. And so it's saying like, hey, you get this time, and if you've never taken a 2-week vacation, go take one, because you're going to see you finally get to unpack. But by the end of 2 weeks, you're actually ready to come back to work.
100%.
Yeah, and I love what you're saying about planning, because if you use your days correctly, and I love how organizations are now moving into PTO, just paid time off, versus you said sick time versus vacation time, and if I use my vacation time, but I need my sick, whatever the case is. Here you can leverage it and be like, dude, if I go on take off on a Friday, take off on a Monday, right? You just leverage the weekend. You do that a handful of times, and it's refreshing. And you can even do a long extended wait. Like if I leave on Friday, take a week, and come back on Monday the week after, I just absorbed 10 days, 11 days.
And if you do it right,
and I only took off.
End your vacation halfway through the week, you only have to work 2 days before you get 2 more days off.
Exactly.
Well, that's smart, right? That's why a lot of people piggyback on Thanksgiving. But this year, 2025, Veterans Day is on a Tuesday. A lot of people have Veterans Day off. So I know a lot of people are taking PTO on Thursday, Friday before Veterans Day, and Monday of Veterans Day. And then they got Tuesday off. So all of a sudden they turned in, a random Tuesday holiday into like a 6-day weekend.
Short week.
Which, by the way, is really smart, I think, right? It's a great way to kind of think through the strategy here. One of the things that we were talking about, Patrick, you were talking about the owner saying, only call me if the place burns down, and even then, there's nothing to come back to anyway, so don't call me. I think that's an important message, because how junior staffers handle vacation is based on how executives and leaders and owners handle vacation. Yeah. So if you're the owner or you're the manager, if you're managing anybody and you go away on vacation and you're constantly emailing your team while you're on vacation, your team, when they go on vacation, thinks they're going to have to do the same thing. And now what we're doing is creating a structure of really that's unhealthy, not only for you as the manager, but for your team, because you set the expectation. And you could say all you want, no, I do that when I'm on vacation, but I don't expect you to do that. That goes in one ear and out the other, right? And so I think in some ways as leaders, owners, directors, VPs, we have to model it. And if we're going to set those boundaries and we want our staff to have those boundaries, then we've got to set those boundaries well.
Yeah, so I know some people that don't even put their email on their telephone for that reason alone. And so that when they go on vacation and they don't take their laptop, they can't even get to their emails.
I love that. Honestly, I love that. I haven't gone that far, but for years, all my notifications on my phone are off except for text message and phone calls. So email notifications don't even pop up. So that little ding, right? You got an email? There are no red dots on my phone, just so you know. No red dots.
I'm actually going to let Patrick, I'm going to tee him up for a story, which I thought is brilliant. I've never done it, and one day I want to have the gumption to do it. But I think, did you tell me the story about the executive who goes on vacation and then he comes back and just clears out the inbox?
Yeah. So he comes back. Yeah, he literally comes back and deletes all his emails, clears the inbox. So all those unopened emails you have, and I'm like, what? And he's like, if it's important, they'll email me back.
100%. I have heard many executives do that. I have never done that myself, but I actually love the concept.
Yeah.
Because here's what happens, especially if you're gone for a long period of time. Say you're gone for 2 weeks or more, which is not unheard of. Some people, and
especially for owners and executives.
Well, certainly, look, 1 week is not enough to decompress. I'll tell you that. So this summer I was gone for 3 weeks. It was beautiful, right? But in many times, someone emails you that first week that you're gone. You don't respond, of course, because you're on vacation. By the time you get back 3 weeks later, they've already taken care of it anyway, right? And so they're really, instead of you going back, did you take care of that? to your point, Patrick, if they haven't taken care of, they will get back to you.
Yeah.
But in many cases, again, if you've empowered your team well while you're on vacation, they're going to figure out how to take care of it without you there. And that's a huge win for your business and
Yeah.
your organization.
And one of the things I told this certain executive was like, here's how you hack that. In the email signature, in your email, like the notification, just put one extra line. Hey, I'm out, talk to so-and-so. And if you receive this message, anything that you send, if it's important, all right, after this day, resend it to me. Otherwise, it will not. I'm going to delete. You're just kind of communication. I'm letting you know, you see this message? I'm not responding to your email. You want me to get back to it? Send it after this day.
Well, and I think that needs to be part of the, maybe not formal handbook policy, right? But it needs to be really part of the expectations, the SOPs. If you're going to be gone on vacation, you got to set an away message up, because nothing's more frustrating for a client, a collaborator, or a partner to email you and then email you again, because you don't have your auto response in place. And they're like, what the heck? This guy's not responding to me. And then you come back, oh, I was on vacation for 2 weeks. I'm like, well, just put in your email. This is not difficult, Kevin. You said this right at the beginning.
Well, I know an executive that actually keeps that notification on 2 weeks after he's been back.
Nice.
That's actually smart. Actually lets you get caught up on the email.
Don't expect a response from me, right?
Right? Exactly.
Oh my God.
Still on vacation?
I love it. Well, one other thought that I want to do is obviously there's lots of ways to create policies about how much time. We talked about minimum 2 weeks. We talked about 30 days. Really one of the important things to recognize is don't create such unjust, processes. Because I know one organization that I work with, they had a rule that they had 1 week vacation to start off, like an entry-level employee, which is craziness to me, right? To your point, Ricky, at least 2 weeks, But other people, just to step up for them, started with 4 weeks. And that stuff, people know that, especially if it's in the handbook, guys. And people will go like, WTF? Like, honestly, they're like, and what that does is that creates a culture of inequality. And that creates a culture, especially for those lower on the totem pole, they're not going to be happy. And I think we need to be aware of that in terms of some of our policies. So let me ask you one more question here.
I just want to say this. Come work for Peak Performance. You get 30 days off right at the beginning. No matter what level.
30 work days off, right? So,
Yeah.
30 work days off.
I love it.
Not paid.
Okay, dude, this guy. I warned you listeners that the energy in this room is crazy today. Okay, one last question for you. One of the trends that are out there today is unlimited PTO.
Huh?
And there's been some Kevin's like, what? There's been some very interesting studies about how that's worked for some companies, how it doesn't work for other companies. Real quickly, Peak Performance partner take on that unlimited PTO.
Well, I think I would just say this. If you have the expectations set and you're hitting those expectations, whether it takes you an hour or 50 hours, if you're getting done what I need you to get done, and especially with, the AI tools and, we talk about that in sales all the time. We're like, hey, look, if you're getting results, I'll never ask you where you are. I'll never ask you what you're doing. Mm-hmm. If you don't get the results I need, then I got to come back and say, okay, how many calls did you make? How many emails did you send? How many appointments you have set? And so I think if you're hitting, I would just say that if you've got a good way to track the end result that you're looking for and you're able to get that, I'm all for it.
Yeah, I'm going to say that next to working remotely, I'm all for it. Work remotely and unlimited PTO. Try to find me.
So is this sarcasm? Is this,
I would say that I agree with it. Again, to that point, if you can create a culture where people are doing the things you expect them to do, they're delivering, then yeah, unlimited PTO. Like, hey, I don't, if you take care of your kid, like if they need that work-life balance, and we call it work-life integration, we totally.
That's interesting. What type of jobs would you put a person in for unlimited PTO?
I guess actually that's probably going to be the caveat. Like what jobs? Like not hospitality,
Right?
Like,
No, this is going to be more
Sales.
kind of, office
Production.
job,
Things that require production.
knowledge worker stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would even say like project management. Again, if you're getting the work done and it's moving forward, the project's moving forward as you need it to be, and it's the quality's there, you're hitting the timelines.
I think it's I've gone back and forth on this, and kind of our closing thought here with this is I think it could be really valuable in the right culture. hiring good people, I think, is key to this,
Oh, yeah.
obviously, because
Right.
I think it starts with the hiring process. If you have a crappy hiring process, which I made a note to myself, we need to talk hiring in a future podcast, guys. So we're going to do that, right?
Love it.
You know, but if you're not hiring well, then you're setting yourself up for failure with a policy like that. So I think if you are to move to a policy like that, there needs to be a lot of kind of thinking and strategic planning around that, because that's a huge shift. Because I see some value in that, because it's, hey, I trust you. Patrick, to your point, you're getting your job done. I don't care. As long as you get the job done, you get the results done, then I'm good. But again, if we don't have a culture or a hiring process that really embraces that, then you're setting yourself up to be also taken advantage of.
Absolutely.
But the data, I think, for a lot of companies that are doing that, they have a culture that's the right fit for that. So of course they're reporting, really good data, and it makes sense for them. So all to say is, when you're reading some of the stuff, consider the sources.
Yeah.
And it'd be great to work for a company like that hires right, that has the right people, that empowers people. But that's probably, I wouldn't say a unicorn, but I would say it's pretty rare to find an organization like that.
But the way I would look at it is stair step it, right? Kind of, year one, you get the 2 weeks. Year 2, 3 weeks. Year 3, you've earned it. You've built the trust. You've been around long enough. You're part of the culture, and I know that, hey, if I give you unlimited, you're going to deliver.
Can you
And I feel
can you
comfortable.
clarify unlimited though?
Unlimited? As long as they're hitting the measure, unlimited.
No limits.
No limit. I don't
Take as many days as
What?
you want.
And what dispersonality would that be?
No.
I don't know. I'm a high D. I would take advantage of some of that. So.
But before we close up, there's one point I wanted to share with all business owners and listeners out there. Is this simple idea: is if you're going to put as you have PTO, not if you're going to put it in, but if you have PTO, put some structure in place that not everybody can take PTO at the exact same time. You need to be able to have certain, like, hey, you're going to put this in. You need to know by this date or this time, so that when others want to, you don't have everybody just out, not running your company, right? And so that's just one of those things I wanted to say. Hey, you put that in place.
And I think one other thing in the
safety.
culture, also, when somebody's gone, like, step up, step your game up and cover. If you see an area where, oh man, Ricky he's usually doing that. He's not here. He's on vacation. You know what? I'm going to do that. Yeah. And so that way he can take the time off and feel like, oh, okay, it feels good. I was able to stay away.
Yeah.
I love that. And the stair stepping the policies, right? Well, you get 2 weeks the first year, 3 weeks, or whatever the rules are. That's very common. The idea is that's also meant to incentivize people to stay. That those incentives don't work anymore, as we know, right? The work culture has changed dramatically in the past 30 years. So we can have a different conversation about that. But clearly have some strategic conversation about PTO, do stuff that makes sense. There were a couple questions that we didn't even get to. So, we're going to have another PTO podcast here at some point, because I think we can go deeper into this and hopefully help you all out who are listening and watching the podcast here and joining us at Peak Performance Partners.
Yeah, we got to go on vacation.
Yeah. Well, and that's it. To your point, not having everybody go off at the same time. Like, that's one of the reasons why a lot of companies will shut down between Christmas and New Year's, because they know a lot of people are going to want to take that time off. Like, just make it simple on yourself, and the industry shuts its stuff down. So, and I'll be honest with you, I'd rather be with my kids and wife too during that time, and not hanging out with you guys. Sorry, I'm just telling the truth right now. I'm just telling the truth. Come on, you don't want to hang out with your family more than you want to hang out with me?
I do.
Yeah, see? There you go. All right, guys, that wraps up another episode of Are You Killing It? The podcast powered by Peak Performance Partners. Hey, thanks for listening in. Hey, share the podcast episodes. If you find what we're doing valuable and maybe even a little entertaining, send it out to your friends and networks and people in your company. We would really appreciate you spreading the word, and as we continue to try to add value to all that you are doing in the world of business. So with that said, gentlemen, thank you again for joining us for this other episode, and we will see you next time. Take care, everybody.
Peace.